Republican House Speaker John Boehner sometimes gets criticized for being a crier. I think he gets criticized for that because some people see crying as a sign of weakness. But honestly, if you are a crier, it is not a sign of weakness or a sign of strength or a sign of anything else. You are just a crier. It is just a thing about you. You're just wired that way. I think that I personally find John Boehner's frequent public crying to be actually endearing because I, too, am a crier. The national anthem, for example. I cry every single time I hear the national anthem. I mean, unless you do a really atrociously bad job, I am going to cry when you sing the national anthem, even if you sing it poorly. Also, buskers in the subway. I don't care if you're doing aha remixes on a pedal steel, I will cry. Also, really good political speeches. Even if I cannot stand you as a politician, I might still cry at your good speech. I cried a lot at the George W. Bush second inaugural address, and I could not stand that guy. If you are a crier, you're just a crier. God made you that way. Don't even get me started on those sad puppy commercials, right? Am I right? One of the ones that I am particularly bad about has to do with the fact that I am an openly gay person. I have been out since I was a teenager, and that means I have done my share of time at gay pride parades, which happen every year all over the country in May and June. And even though I have been to roughly a gazillion of these things, and even though in some ways they are all the same and I have seen them all before, I'm here, I'm queer, I'm used to it, honestly, the mere idea that I might see something like this again at a gay pride parade, one particular thing about gay pride parades, makes me weep like the Dickens every time I so much as even think about it. These are the parents of gay people marching in gay pride parades, just to say that they love their kids, basically. Makes me cry every time. And my parents love me. This isn't born out of any personal hardship or something. But seeing those straight parents out there on the street saying, yeah, I'm here in this parade publicly because I love my kid and I am not ashamed, kills me every time. Anyway, the reason this exists, the reason this phenomenon exists in America, the reason there are all these totally normal, average moms and dads out there with this dignified, remarkable, tears-inducing public proclamation of love for their kids is because of this specific incident, this moment in time. This is the first time it ever happened. This is 1972. The woman at the front there, in the sort of center of your screen on the left side, that's Jeanne Manford. Her son Morty was gay, and she made that sign herself. You can read the sign. It says, "Parents of gays, unite in support for our children." And she held that sign and marched with her son in this parade in 1972. She did not belong to any group. She was not there with anybody other than her kid. But she did not like the way that her gay son had been treated in public, and she was not ashamed of him. And so she decided to make that sign and appeal to other parents who she knew were out there. And she just marched alongside him in that parade in Greenwich Village in 1972. Now, Jeanne Manford, when she did that, she later said that she thought that the screaming and cheering that she was hearing from the crowd as she proceeded down the parade route, she thought those screams and cheers were for the famous Dr. Benjamin Spock, who was marching just behind her in the parade. But as the parade progressed and all the screaming, cheering people started to crowd around her, she realized the screaming and the cheering was for her. As we marched the parade route, she said, so many people came up and hugged me and cried and talked about their own parents. After that parade, Jeanne Manford said her phone rang and rang. She got calls from gay people who wanted her to talk to their parents. She got phone calls from other parents of gay kids who just wanted themselves to talk with her. And in 1973, she convened the first meeting of the group that would later become known as PFLAG, Parents, Families, and Friends of Lesbians and Gays. Jeanne Manford marched alone in 1972. She formed the group in 1973, and by 1978, Jeanne Manford found herself, unwittingly, the leader of a movement.
The most important thing is communication, love in a family, understanding and respect. And so many, of course, when the parents come, they are full of guilt, they're ashamed, they don't want to tell the neighbors, and we try to relax them. We can understand their initial trauma, the surprise, and but we try to let them know that homosexuality is just another shade of sexuality. It is no better, no worse than anything else. Our children are as good as anybody's, and we love our children, and they love all the parents love their children. And there is certainly the most important thing in our lives is to see that our children are happy. And I don't care if anybody knows what people know personally, because my son is more important to me than the gossip that might go around the neighborhood or among people. And people, my friends, I have many, respect me and understand, and they feel as I do. They respect my son. And they, in fact, when they see things that are not right, they will write to protest, because they realize that I have helped educate them and they are educating other people.
That was Jeanne Manford speaking on the Today Show in 1978. The organization that she founded in the 70s is a national nonprofit today with 350 affiliates. It started as this one lady carrying a sign in public to support her one son, and it became a powerful grassroots thing. It became a big cultural advance in our country on this as a civil rights issue, an advance that's widely credited as a key development in this movement for those civil rights more broadly. Watch this.
Soon after the protests at Stonewall 40 years ago, the phone rang in the home of a soft-spoken elementary school teacher named Jeanne Manford. It was 1 a.m, and it was the police. Now, her son Morty had been at the Stonewall the night of the raids. Ever since, he had felt within him a new sense of purpose. So when the officer told Jeanne that her son had been arrested, which was happening often to gay protesters, she was not entirely caught off guard. And then the officer added one more thing. And you know, he's homosexual. Well, that police officer sure was surprised when Jeanne responded, "Yes, I know. Why are you bothering him?" And not long after, Jeanne would be marching side by side with her son through the streets of New York. She carried a sign that stated her support. People cheered. Young men and women ran up to her, kissed her, and asked her to talk to their parents. And this gave Jeanne and Morty an idea. And so after that march, on the anniversary of the Stonewall protests, amidst the violence and the vitriol of a difficult time for our nation, Jeanne and her husband Jules, two parents who loved their son deeply, formed a group to support other parents and in turn to support their children as well. At the first meeting Jeanne held in 1973, about 20 people showed up. But slowly, interest grew. Morty's life tragically was cut short by AIDS, but the cause endured. And today, the organization they founded for parents, families, and friends of lesbians and gays has more than 200,000 members and supporters. It's made a difference for countless families across America. And Jeanne would later say, "I considered myself such a traditional person. I didn't even cross the street against the light. But I wasn't going to let anybody walk over Morty." That's the story of America, of ordinary citizens organizing, agitating, and advocating for change, of hope stronger than hate, of love more powerful than any insult or injury, of Americans fighting to build for themselves and their families a nation in which no one is a second-class citizen, in which no one is denied their basic rights, in which all of us are free to live and love as we see fit.
That was President Obama speaking at the Human Rights Campaign dinner in 2009. This week, Jeanne Manford, the founder of Parents, Families, and Friends of Love, here I go, Friends of Lesbians and Gays, passed away. She was 92 years old, and everybody cried, including me on TV, like usual. All right, that does it for us tonight. We'll see you again on Monday, but now you get to spend the Friday night with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Have a great weekend.
The Rachel Maddow Show, weeknights at 9 Eastern on MSNBC.